Hi, I'm Steve from Nearly Wild, and I just want to summarise some of the things that came out of our first meeting with a group of nature-based businesses from Powys yesterday. It was a fairly brief meeting. It was for an hour on a Zoom call, but it was really just sort of starting the conversation, and I thought it would be useful to share some of the key things that were coming out or being starting to emerge, linked both through the conversation yesterday, but also some of the interviews that we've done so far. This is one of a series of short presentations that I'll do that just explain some of the emerging key messages or key thoughts, I suppose. So this particular group was myself, representing Nearly Wild and Nearly Wild Camping, Phil from the Willow Globe, Hazel, who is an ecotherapist, Richard, who was representing Cultivate, which is a local food programme, amongst other things, in the Newtown area, Mark from the Living Room Treehouses, Adele from Brecon's Brecon Beacon Foraging, and Sharon from Glyn, Canol Old Farm. There was a few interesting things I think that were sort of striking. The first is that everybody seemed to be feeling that there was an increasing interest in the nature-based business product, and some people have found actually that the COVID restrictions had encouraged people to explore the natural world more, and were potentially therefore boosting their businesses. There seems to be a real potential to collaborate, and I think there was a general feeling of those in the group that could be the start of something. There was a sense of there's a lot of opportunity just by simply sharing learning and understanding between us, but also potentially selling into each other's supply chains or supplying each other, and also packaging things up so that we're selling a collective product to the market rather than individual little elements of it, which are much harder to sell and also take up too much of any individual business's time, because many of the businesses are micro. And that's a deliberate decision to be micro, rather than sort of wanting to grow into some big, large company. They want to remain a smaller lifestyle business that fits in with everything else they do within their life. Many are linked to farms, so there's also this thing about linking to other demands on time. We felt that there's a real USP for nature-based business, and we could be making an awful lot more of that. And that came back also to a feeling that we could be selling that kind of nature-based relationship much more powerfully in Mid Wales context, and we've got a real offer, and we should make more of that. I think not just from this conversation, but more generally as well, there's a real sense of people who are running nature-based businesses are very values-driven. They're very value-driven businesses, and that in themselves makes them very interesting. And they're solution-focused innovators. And I put in there harness the change, because we touched a little bit on a conversation around, if these people are naturally solution-focused innovators who are values-driven, maybe the third sector, the charities and the public bodies, the local authorities and the government bodies should be actually looking more to us to drive changes and to help identify opportunities for change, and involve much more the nature-based businesses in the conversations that are happening. There's a value of the links to local towns and real potential when you start getting things like the Open Newtown opportunities for nature-based businesses to be rebuilding their supply chains into the local market towns, which have largely broken down for a whole variety of reasons that we cover in some of the discussions that I'll be having on video talks around supply chains. But this came up, particularly the Open Newtown, in our discussion. And the final thing was that there's a real interest in networking, in sharing, and really showcasing and promoting what we're doing in Mid Wales, talking a lot more about the benefits of nature-based business and the range and diversity of product that's out there. And one of the thoughts that we started playing around with, we're obviously in a situation of being restricted to some extent largely by the COVID restrictions and the way we're having all to live life at the moment. But idea of campfire conversations. At least we can get together under cover with a campfire, keep us warm, and at least start to have a few conversations in a more restricted environment. And we did play around as well with how actually nature-based businesses can also, often because they're working outdoors or because they have outdoor related type of venues, we could be giving a really good offer and developing that offer for the wider public who really desperately need places to escape to, places to go to, where they can meet, where they can greet, where they can enjoy themselves that are outdoor. But as the winter comes in, you know, being somewhere warm and undercover will be quite important. So there's just a few of that's kind of a bit of a summary. I mean, there was a lot more covered, and I've tried to really collate that, linking back to some of the learning we've had already through some of our interviewing work as well, which I'll cover in separate videos. But hopefully, for those of you who weren't able to be present at that meeting, that'll just give you a bit of a feel of some of the key things that were coming out from a small group of nature-based businesses interested to work together. Let's look forward to an exciting future together. Thanks very much.